Okay, so I'm so excited. I'm going to have Mobile Mary here at my conversation about her gutsy voice. And the reason why gutsy voice is for women to learn how to decide. So I have a program called She Who Decides to help women know what they want and to be able to communicate that in a way that they're supported in their creation. And so I want Mary to tell all my listeners what she does, and then we'll talk about how she's gutsy to make it happen.
Wow, that's awesome. And because we're speaking about couples, and again, I want to thank you for having me on your show, Kimberly. I've just felt it for the first time we met. We were sisters from a different mister, and it was such a joy when you asked me to be a guest on your show. So thank you.
Yeah. So what does that say about like you never know who you're going to meet, right?
Right,
Like
right,
you're sitting next to, you were invited as a guest, and I was invited as a guest. We didn't know each other. A lot of the people at the table for dinner we didn't know.
right.
And it was like click, 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 click.
Well, you did share an awesome drink with me. So right there, I knew The Godfather.
Okay. Oh, yeah, yeah.
I even texted you later, and I was out to dinner with some other friends. I'm like, what the heck was the name of that drink? Because I was so excited about it. So just for the record, anyone listening, bourbon and amaretto, delish.
Mm,
Delish. Yes,
delish.
that kicks us off a little bit. But yeah, so thank you for asking about my business. So my I started the business in 1988, which is just a couple years ago. And I would say we've been in business 36 years, but I'm only 37. So, that's my story and I'm sticking to it. And so I started the business in 1988. And after about a year, I was getting busy, praise God. Like I was getting more corporate clients and everything. And I said to my husband, wow, I think I might need to hire someone. Like he goes, hello. He says, I help you every night and every weekend. Why don't you hire me? And I'm like, well, why don't you submit your resume and we'll talk about, no, I'm kidding. I didn't say that. But
You
he was
made
like,
you made him do a resume? I love that.
yeah, sexual harassment right from the beginning of our company. No, but he was in the mortgage industry. He absolutely hated it. My husband is one of the most ethical men person, I should say, in the world. He just couldn't stand the industry, at least the person that people he were working with. He just felt it wasn't his cup of tea. Let's just say that. And so he's like, I would love to work with you. It'd be so much fun. Like we could raise him all the time. We do it full time. So I was like, all right, let's do it. So he joined in 1989, and we've had definitely highs and lows, but we've stayed in business together by the grace of God. Because when you're in business, as if anyone is listening who has a business, there are high highs and low lows. We've had plenty of top ramen dinners. And, for a special treat, we put hot dogs in it for the kids, like, ooh, meet tonight. Um, and then we've also, we now live in this beautiful home with this gorgeous pool. Like, it's like the Lord has been so good carrying us through.
Yeah.
But our business is marketing. So we started I remember like saying, I'll do anything. And which is probably a mistake. Again, if you're just starting your business, pick a niche, stick with it and get really good, go deep. But I was doing anything to make money. And so, Coldwell Banker says, can you write a newsletter? Yes. Avco Financial said, can you do a company picnic? Yes. Parker Hannifin Aerospace says, can you do a Christmas party? Yes. Kawasaki said, can you do a product launch? Yes. Like I was just going all over the place. But we were doing like internal and external marketing for folks. We would do large trade shows. We would do, small private corporate events. We even actually did a private lunch for Cardinal Mahoney, which was in Los Angeles, where we literally catered in a rectory. Like we were all over the place. But again, it was just we always said yes and then figured it out.
So what's
Um,
your niche now? What's your niche now, Mary?
our niche now is actually I have a heart for funeral homes, which most people are like, oh, really? I'm like, yeah, because actually I have attended I had to do the math once because I was asked to speak on grief. I have been to over 80 funerals in the last 10 years.
Wow.
And I think the Lord was preparing my heart to be able to work with the funeral homes because I saw, some funeral homes that did amazing. Like they were right in there. They made the families feel seen and heard and respected. And then there was some funeral homes just didn't do as good of a job. And it just kept like it I kept thinking, wow, I could really help him. But I never really put my feet to that because I was so busy with other things. Like we work with the military. We help the Marines know what's to eat in the mess halls with our tech software. We work with mom and pops, local organizations, nonprofits. We're again all over the place, always saying yes. But a local mortician who's actually a friend of mine, he said, Mayor, I've been actually looking to hire you for a long time, but I never committed, but somebody kept encouraging me. And would you have, and I said, well, I have no experience in the funeral. And he goes, yes, you do. We've actually worked together in like, I was helping like, friends of mine locally, like when a dear friend of mine's daughter died suddenly
Oh,
and she was completely lost. Like I was like, don't you worry. I'll, coordinate a community potluck. We're going to get, the wake taken care of. Don't you worry. We'll make the program. My daughter made the video. Like, we've got you, girl. Like, and he goes, you've been doing that for so many people. Like, you have a fresh perspective. So maybe you can help the funeral home where we might have some gaps. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'd be so honored. And I just saw in the back end what some other companies had done, like SEO wise. And again, I'm a marketing geek. And I was like, wow, you've not been served well. Let me change that. And so I kind of revamped everything he was doing. And so we've actually been referred to other funeral homes. We work with about 10 funeral homes now. And I still have other clients. We still work with, lots of other, we're blessed with work. But I just have such a heart for these funeral homes because they're doing sacred work. They're there in your darkest time to lift you up and help you through it. And I have a heart to help them. So that is my current who I go after niche.
so I want to point out something. The whole idea of her gutsy voice is you said yes, you said yes, you said yes, you said yes. Even when it's like, maybe I don't know what I'm doing or I'm not deep enough, but you kept putting yourself out there. What was it about you, Mary, that said, I can say yes? What kept you from not saying, oh, I can't do that? No, I don't think I can. What was that?
Uh, I don't know. I guess personality. I've always had been, my mom was always such a strong supporter of me. And this month she'll be gone. She's been in heaven for 20 years, which I can't believe. But, she never said you can't do something. And I watched her do things that and it to me it wasn't anything. I thought all moms did this kind of stuff. She was serving at the soup kitchen. She was always, hosting things for nonprofits and fundraisers and things like that. She organized teas at the church to, fashion shows for the women and raise money for good causes. And she actually, right after the Vietnam War, she was watching the news and she told me, she says, wow, all these refugees are going to come to America from Vietnam, and in there, they're just going to put them on welfare. He says, and in that culture, that will destroy them because they have such a strong work ethic and pride. And he says, there's going to be doctors and teachers and lawyers and pharmacists coming, and they're going to literally be thrown into welfare. And it's going to like ruin them and their culture. And I have to do something about it. And so I remember her going to the local, and I know I'm totally going off topic, but she was a gutsy voice, right?
Yeah.
She went to our local community college, Santa Ana College, and I guess she knew the president or something. I don't know actually how she got into his office, but she was telling him about this. There needs to be something to help these people. What can we do to help these people? And he's like, well, you actually have a credential, a teaching credential. She goes, well, I raised 6 children. I haven't even used it. Like, yes, I have it, but I don't, And he says, well, come up with a curriculum. You obviously have a passion for this. Come up with a curriculum and figure out how to help them. So my mom literally wrote a curriculum that helped when the Vietnamese refugees came, she'd help them basically get citizenship. She helped them get recertified in California in America. Like she was doing all the things. And then the state of California saw what she was doing, had such a high success rate. They said, well, could we ask you to expand your program to the hardcore unemployed, is what they called them. And she was like, what's hardcore unemployed? And these are people that in 5 generations, no one has ever had a job
Oh, wow.
in their entire family. So they, So my mom kind of switched up a couple of things and then she hired me in the summer. I was only like 13. I would come to her warehouse. Like we literally, they had no classroom space for her. They put her in this dusty, dirty, hot warehouse in the middle of the summer. And I remember us going in and putting up those, I don't know if well, you probably do, the hang in there kitty posters, on the
Oh,
end of
oh
the
yeah.
branch.
Oh yeah.
We're dating ourselves. But all those like motivational posters all over the walls. And I had, there was like a giant, camera. They didn't have little, video cameras. They had a giant camera like in a TV studio. And I would hold it and she would have me follow like one by one her students into the room. She was teaching them interview skills. And she would then privately coach them like, okay, here's how you walk, here's how you shake hands, how you look eye contact. And then she would take them to like Goodwill and teach them how to buy clothes that matched for interviews and they went to the beauty school and they got a haircut and show them how to put on a little makeup for women. And like she did all these things that I don't think I even knew was like unique. I just knew it was cool that my mom was helping these people. It was great. But it wasn't until her funeral 20 years ago, this month, actually the 18th. And a woman comes up into I guess you would call it
The viewing.
well, it was after the mass, there was like in the parish hall, people like a welcome line. I don't know, whatever you
Okay.
call it.
Okay.
And this woman comes up and she looked a little familiar, but I didn't really know her. And she basically introduced herself and said, I was one of your mom's students and your mom changed my life. And I just wanted to say on behalf of myself, my family, my entire legacy is due to your mom. And I was like, then why do you
Wow.
look so familiar? She says, well, I've been sending your mom Christmas cards, for the last 20 years. And my mom always put them on the refrigerator. And I said, oh, well, remind me. She said that no one had ever told her she was smart or beautiful or worthy until she met my mom. She says all her life, everyone told her she was ugly, stupid, and had no reason to live. Like she was, and she says, your mom taught me, and that sounds kind of sexist nowadays, but taught me how to walk in heels. She taught me how to wear a dress. She picked out my first dress in the Goodwill. She taught me to brush my teeth in the morning and at night. I mean, little things that we all take for granted that our mom just helped us with. She had never had that. And she said, because of the tools and the resources that your mom turned me on to, like I attracted my husband and I had children and I taught my children how to act this way and get a job and live a progressive, productive life. She goes, no one in my family had ever done that before. I was like, I'm like tears,
No, I want to cry too.
I know, right? And anyway, so that's kind of where I've gotten I've never been told that you can't do something. And so my mom would always say, well, try it out. If you don't like it, do something different. Like you could do it. You could do it. So I had that blessing of an encourager in a mom. So
You know,
that's right. The answer to your question.
when I talk about being gutsy, my nickname is the Gutsy Goddess. It's not about being this bold presence. It's
Right.
not.
Mhm.
It is about what you just talked about, an idea. And instead of sitting on the couch and complaining about it and saying somebody should do something about it,
Yes.
she said, what could I do? And she didn't know what she could do.
Right.
When she went to talk to that professor at the university, she had no idea what to do.
Right.
And we never know who we're going to talk to. Like me sitting next to you never know who you're going to talk to. And I shared my idea of she who decides, and you're like, that's brilliant, that's wonderful, like this, that sense of encouragement that I do think women need.
Yes.
They
We
do.
are, I think we're designed to lift each other up. Like they say, the rising tides lifts all boats.
Yeah, yeah,
I think it's a shame if anyone has ever been taught that we need to cut each other down to get ahead. It's
right,
exactly the opposite. I have been so blessed in my life to have people that have just always said, yeah, you could do it. Go on, do it, and so I feel like it's my duty to
right,
pass that along and lift others up because there's no competition because we all have such unique gifts. No one could possibly ever do the same thing the same way. And so, there's plenty of business out there. So I encourage anyone who's listening to know that you are designed for greatness. And
I was just going to
We're here to
say,
do that.
what do we say to, because I do believe this. People who need to hear this will hear this.
Yes.
So what do they need to hear from us that would say, it's your time. You can get out there. You don't have to know all the answers. In fact,
Right.
you shouldn't know all the answers because then you won't hear the brilliance of the opportunity.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And they say do it messy, right? And when you live out loud, just do it messy and you'll figure it out. And what's nice is you can always ask questions. And that was something you were talking about with my business. I wish I would have asked more questions
Yeah.
because I just started my business like I couldn't find my butt with two hands. Like I literally was 24 years old. I was working as a loan executive for United Way, which is a program where the company you work for loans you to United Way and they pay your salary while you're there for 3 months, which was the most amazing program ever. And during that, I had made relationships with a bunch of corporate clients, and one was TRW. And at the end of the 10-week session or whatever, we, go in, this was the whole plan. You go in, you show the movie, you make them cry, you pan out hand out the pledge cards. It was like, okay, like, so oh, it's terrible. We have to help, so you like, anyways. And so at the end of that session, the vice president of marketing said, what do you do? And I said, why? What do you need? And she said, well, we have this large bureau conference coming up, and we don't have anyone to produce it. And you have produced all these little fundraising meetings that we've had for the past 10 weeks. Would you be available to help us? Like it'd be a contract, like a consulting contract. I mean, literally, I was 24 years old, wearing giant shoulder pads and my hair up in a bun. So I look, 2 seconds older. And I was like, well, I probably need to check my calendar, and I can get back to you. And she's like, okay, that'd be great. Give me a call. And I was like, okay. I was still working for Beckman Instruments, a global,
Uh,
a medical device company, which I did not like working for. That's a whole nother story. But anyway, so the elevator doors shut and I start jumping up and down. Like I'm like, and I went home. We were newly married, like less than probably 9 months. And my husband's like, oh my gosh, don't call too quick. You'll look needy. Like, wait. So I had my little Mac Plus, which is our wedding gift to each other. And I like literally like was making up business names and like, what would our business name be? And then 2 hours passed. I'm like, can I call? And he's like, yeah, of course. Like, yeah, you want me to look busy. So I'm like, well, I've moved some things around, but I need 2 weeks to finish some things up before I could start work with you. They said, that's just fine. 2 weeks is great. Just come on in with a contract and a PO and we'll get started. And I'm like,
what's a PO?
okay,
What's a
exactly.
PO?
What the hell's a PO? Like I had and there was no Google. Mr. Google wasn't alive. And I
Right.
was like, oh my God, I had to give my 2 weeks at work. And then I had to drive, not go online, drive to a library and ask the librarian to use PO in a sentence. I'm like, if someone asked you for a PO, like what is it? Like I was afraid, like, oh, is it something off? And she's like,
Oh,
purchase order. And she literally pulled a giant dusty book off the shelf. Bam, like a dust cloud came up. She's like, just copy this. So I like put it on those machines, you're
right.
like, for 10 cents. Anyway, they literally taped it to the wall and copied it word for word. I had no idea. Like I said, I couldn't find my butt with two hands, but I had to figure it out because she wanted to pay me $8,000,
Wow.
which was like $1 million. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh my gosh. Anyways, and then we just kept going from there. But I encourage people just like ask questions, like go find someone who does what you want to do, and you're not going to steal their business, but even if you could go work for them would be awesome. Like I wish I would have done that because I had to make everything up.
That question of what do you need was great.
Yeah.
To ask, what do you need? What do you
Yes.
need?
Right.
And to be open to like, okay, I can do it, I can't do it, or I'll find you somebody.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
I'll get you somebody.
Yeah.
Makes us heroes.
Right.
Okay. And
Right.
so, the other thought about this gutsy voice is not to be afraid of people, not to be afraid to go to a networking event and strike up a conversation. Don't be worried about what are they going to think of me,
Exactly.
but just be loving and caring and joyful and curious.
Yeah.
Just not to be afraid.
Right. 100%. My business name is Another Brilliant Idea. And so, there's a lot of pressure there. Should I come up with another brilliant idea? But you're right. You're right. The I don't know where that question came out of, and I, to be honest, need to use it more because what do you need? Because you're right. When you can then say, oh, you know what? I don't rent circus animals, but can find someone who will. Let me get that, that link to you or whatever. They get that resource to you. People are like, wow, thank you. Thank you for saving me the trouble
And they'll
by
remember you the next time.
exactly. So you don't have to solve every problem. But if you can help somebody with their problem, they say if you can help other people get what they need, the Zig Ziglar,
Yeah.
um,
And
then
also,
you're
yeah,
a
3 degrees
success.
of separation,
Hmm.
right? I love that concept too.
Yeah.
So running a big business and all of the messy business, as you called it, and the ups and downs and the ramen noodles and the hot dogs and the ramen noodles, what kind of rituals do you do with your family, with your husband, in order to stay connected? Anything in particular?
Well, well, we always did dinners together. I mean, that's something. I mean, now that my kids are all adults, we still have dinner together. In fact, they've all recently just moved home temporarily, which is I love it. Like I know if you're like, you should get them out of the house. I'm like, you know what? Let them save some money. Let me have some more mama time with them.
Yeah.
And so I absolutely love it. But we do. We also, because they're adults, they're all in their 20s. Actually, one is 30. They all have, because we're part of a family, everybody has chores just like they did when they were little. So they have nights of the week that they're making dinner. They buy all the ingredients. They have to make the whole dinner. They can invite other people to help them if they want, but there's responsibilities. And so we connect through that. We also celebrate a lot of silly things, obviously our birthdays, of course, but we celebrate little things that come up. Um, Again, my husband and I kind of split the duties in our business. He's definitely much more someone who is more of a private individual, or I'm definitely the opposite. When we do all those personality tests, we are exactly the opposite on everything. But that works for us because he's like, I would never want to do what you do. Like, in fact, I think I was telling you this at dinner when he first joined the business. It was probably about 6 months in, and he goes, I don't like sales. I don't like he's a introvert, so his energy gets like depleted when he has to speak. So like I was bringing him to all the networking things with me, whatever. He goes like, I just can't do that. He goes, I have a deal for you. If you do the sales, and marketing, because kind of goes hand in hand with us. He says, I'll do everything else in our life. I go, what do you mean? He goes, everything. I'll cook, I'll clean, I'll iron, do the laundry, I'll do grocery shopping, I'll do the lawn, I'm like, okay, I'm not dumb. Like, where do I sign? Like, what? Are you sure? Because I'm going to hold you to this, right? And he's like, yeah, no, it's great. And so literally I'm so spoiled because to this day, and this next month will be 38 years married, and it'll be into December, it'll be 37 years in business. He still does it. Like I literally everything done for me. Like, you can never leave. You can never die because I will not know how to find my butt with two hands because I is spoiled. So but anyway, so that's kind of what when you if that's did that answer your question?
It is about when we create those rituals that I call them touch points.
Mhm.
How do we not get so involved with our business or discouraged or whatever it may be, but to make sure that our partners get taken care of too.
Yes. And I have to say, like, there's things that I do for him that again, the silly ritual is in the morning. I get up, I have my devotional, I do stuff, and I make coffee. And so in the morning, I bring him up coffee. And he's a kind of guy who, when I'll say, oh, can I make you some eggs? No, no. Like he said, we all have gifts, and the kitchen is not mine.
Mhm.
She's like, no, no, it's okay. The nice way to say I can't cook is what he's trying to say. I'm like, I can make food, whatever. But he's just trying to live in service. Um, but I think that in regards to like helping each other along, like there are going to be times where I'm totally stressed out. Like we've had massive events and massive marketing campaigns and clients that have been really needy or, again, through all the different ebbs and flows in our business. And there were times where he literally would have to like knock on my door and hold a martini out to coax me out of my office. He's like, okay, it's time to take a break. It's like a,
Now, I like that ritual.
but it's like,
I'm on top of that ritual anytime.
but it's what's funny is like, oh, I'm sorry, I've been in here for how many hours? Like, because I
Yeah.
get so, you get so laser focused on what you're doing. And again, he's the same way. Like, and it's tax season, he's working with the book, and he's doing all this stuff. Like, I have to go up and do certain things for him as well. And he'll say, okay, it's time for whatever. So we'll go out for walks. And sometimes we have our business meetings while we're walking.
Mhm.
But we try to do things that are going to be best for each other, both health wise and business wise, you know, time saving
Mhm.
shortcuts, I should just say.
So I
And the
really,
martinis. Yeah.
I really want to point out that you can have a great relationship and a great business together,
Yeah.
really, and that it is doable, but you have to be intentional about it.
Yes.
And what I hear is the intentionality was I knew my strength, he knew his strength. We can work together on that. You do this,
Yeah.
I do that. He had a gutsy voice too.
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
was very clear about what I can do and what I can't do.
Yeah.
So great. I'll take that. I won't take this. Wonderful. Make
Right.
it work. Yeah, I love it.
Right.
I love it.
Exactly. Yeah. And sometimes I actually feel guilty that I'm getting the better end of the deal. But what's interesting is he thinks he's getting the better end of the deal.
Exactly.
And I was like, seriously? Like, and he goes, no, no, no. Like at the same time, I don't have touch the finances at all. Like, and he's very, very meticulous about, use this credit card for business, this one for personal. And he has, like I said, he's the most ethical man. And there's certain things for in columns because of this and this. And so I don't want to do that at all. And so I totally respect what he does. And I'm grateful and of that. And the same thing goes for him with me, which
Yeah.
is we're lucky.
All right. So we are going to end this conversation by
Oh,
talking to the listeners. What do you want to say to them that would make a difference for them, just like your mother made a difference for you?
in which way? That they're starting a business or trying to start a business with their husband or what way?
That they won't hold back with their desire and their dream, that they don't have to give up their dream that's inside of them. Like you had this calling inside of you that you had to do, your mother did too. And I don't want them to stop that dream by having somebody, well, I can't say that to him, or I can't get him on board, or I have to leave my marriage in order to do my dream, which I
Oh gosh.
I hear that a lot.
Oh wow. I think that we don't give our husbands credit enough. I think a lot of times we assume based on our past of how maybe our father we watched our father treat our mother or how our father dealt with us or maybe other men in our lives and we assume and again I've been through periods of this as well. You assume the worst, like with a look on their face. And my husband will jokingly, because you've heard of the expression a resting bitch face.
Mhm.
You've heard that expression, yeah. My husband has one. And so I'll say, oh my gosh, are you okay? Like, are you mad? And he's like, no. And I'm like, well, you look angry. And he goes, I think I need to get like a facelift or something to pull my eyebrows up because you always think I'm like angry or something. And I'm like, well, I just want to make sure because when my mom was mad, my mom was quiet. So
Ooh.
we knew if there was no noise in the house, like literally something went down and we were on walking on eggshells. And then I went ahead and married a quiet man.
Ooh.
And so I remember our first 10 years of marriage, I was always like, are you okay? Are you okay? Did I do something wrong? And he's like, Mayor, why are you assuming the worst?
Yeah,
Like, just ask me. And so he had to literally untrain me from the way I thought life was. Like, I just thought silence meant mad.
yeah,
But I had to say, well, tell me. I had to ask him to communicate in a way to get me used to the fact that Mary, I have nothing to say, so I'm not going to say anything.
right.
And as a woman, like, how do you not have anything to say? Like, that is so and I'm sure you've heard of this analogy. there's men's brains are like waffles and women are like spaghetti, where men literally have compartments, work compartment, family compartment, home compartment, and there's a nothing compartment. And I've asked this of numerous men over the last 30 years. Is it true you can actually think of nothing? Like if somebody says, "Oh, what are you thinking about?" They're like, "Nothing." Is that true? Or are you secretly thinking about, what you're going to make for dinner or the kids are going to bring to school? And they've all told me, "Oh, yeah, I can think of nothing." I'm like, I don't know one woman who can do that.
He can't.
What the heck is that? Right. So I'm
No.
always spinning
Yeah.
around and going, there's got to be something going on. There's got to be something, and I finally
Yeah.
learned with my husband because I asked, please tell me if there's something wrong so I don't have to spin out of control.
Yeah.
If there's something wrong, instead of just sitting there stewing, say, Mayor, this is going on. And then we can fix it right away. And then I won't be wasting all of my energy worrying about what's going on with you. And I can get back to being productive in other parts of my life. So I
Yeah.
think that would be advice for your listeners is that
That's
um,
good advice.
it's okay. It's okay to ask, one, for help, two, for opinion or for guidance or encouragement, because I think our husbands would appreciate a little a little peek behind the curtain of what makes us work. Because most guys will always say women intimidate them because they think we're holding this secret bag of wishes or something, and most of us are. We're afraid of asking for what we want. We're afraid of because what if, and what is the worst thing that can happen for them to say, no, I don't like that. All right. You don't like it. That's cool. I'm going to still do it. All right, cool. Like they won't care. They'll want to support you and love you and cheer you on if they're given the opportunity to do that.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
I absolutely agree with that.
Yeah.
100%.
Yay.
No, it is about communication, always.
Yes. Yes.
Oh, it has been a joy, a pleasure, a delight to have you in this
Oh,
conversation. And I'm
oh,
so excited to be able to share this conversation with other women. And I know that if you're listening, you needed to hear this. Amen.
right.
Right?
Amen.
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 I always
Exactly.
finish with sending you all the love in the world and remember to be love. Mwah. Thank
Mwah.
you, Mary.
All right. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you.
God bless.
I'm going to